Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Action Popcast with me, Nick APD. And this evening, I am joined by a special guest, someone I know. He's actually my barber. How's that come about? How's it come about that my barber ends up on my show? Anyway, it is this handsome, absolutely ginormous bloke to the side of me, Rob H. How are you this evening, Rob?
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on the podcast on the stream. Sorry, it's really good fun to be on. I think. Yeah, looking forward
Yeah,
to
well,
it.
thank you for joining in. Yeah, and I class this as a video podcast, so thank you for joining me on this evening and for joining us in many of the chats of late. You've become a regular in the comments section, and I've always said that this show is for everyone. Anyone can come on. So brilliant. Thanks for coming along. And
No problem. Thank you.
I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure that you have a good time this evening, because you're the man who takes care of my beard, and I'm very precious about my beard.
Well, we've got to do what we can. Keep you looking youthful and handsome.
Mate, you've got a pair of scissors, not a magic wand, mate. But
that's what I tell people.
Best, don't you?
When people come in and start asking me about specific haircuts and stuff, and they say, "Can you make me look like?" I had a ginger chap come in the other day. Nice guy, wanted a haircut like Cristiano Ronaldo, and I said, This is a comb, not a magic wand.
So you got to keep people's expectations in check, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right. So in a moment, I'm going to get into the chat, and I see you all there. I do see you, and we're going to come and we're going to say hello to you. But this evening's film, it's obvious to all who have clicked on, is Lethal Weapon. I'm going to do this a bit different this show. What made you want to pick this film, Rob?
Well, it's a film I watched as we all did back in the 80s. So I'm 46 in a couple of months' time. And it was a film I watched far too young and didn't get the context to it. If anything, I probably watched Lethal Weapon 2 first. But that's a conversation for another time. So I watched Lethal Weapon 2 first, and I thought to myself, well, obviously there's the original. So I went back in and watched that when I was about 10, I reckon. And it's just one of those sort of buddy cop films that is just, apart from 48 Hours, this is probably, I would say, what sets the blueprint for a lot of buddy cop films to come, where you've got the maniac. One of them's a maniac, sort of unhinged guy, and the other one's the straight man and the guy trying to sort of tame him in. And there are so many films that we'll probably talk about them, but there's so many other films that aped this going forward. So yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's one of those films. It's just an original. It's an absolute classic, and it's a complete original in every way it can be.
Well, I'm glad that you picked this. I gave this film I suggested this film to several people around Christmas time, and we'll get into this a bit later as to why I strongly feel that this is a Christmas movie. I think we're on the same page, aren't we there, Rob?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think what we need to do first, and I'm going to apologise for the massive lisp I seem to be carrying this evening. I've been on a little bit of a weight loss journey recently. So on a Saturday, I have a bit of a cheat meal, and this evening I bit into a piece of chicken, and what I proceeded to do was bite into the side of my tongue quite hard. So it's I feel like I've got a sponge in my mouth. Anyway, we all know that I struggle with speaking at the best of times. I feel the right thing to do now, Rob, is to get into the comments section and say hello to those who have joined us. So let's take a look. So the first person we had this evening, one of our super spanners, was Jojo. She says, evening all. Hey, Jojo. Great thing about Jojo, she had never seen this film until I announced we were doing this stream, and she's now watched it twice. She owns all 4 films because she liked it that much. She's bought the box set. Rather, I was kind and I found it in a charity shop and I gifted it to her. So there you go. What a friend I am.
I'll be interested to find out what her favourite is overall, if she's only just new to it all.
Yeah, I think she's only done Lethal Weapon so far. I said to her last night, have you done the others yet? Because like me, when I get into something, I smash through it. But I'm wondering if she's going to go down the route of liking the second one most. Anyway, let's proceed here. We've also been joined by my mate, well, more than my mate, my virtual online uncle, Keith Knight. Hello, Keith. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's good to see you in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. And you and Rob have both got something in common. You are both retired policemen you're from London as well, aren't you, Rob?
Well, no, I did 20 years in total, but I did 13 years up in the smoke, and I'm from Dorset anyway, so I moved back down here after with 7 years. Having and I did 7 years down here. So, but I enjoyed being a police officer so much that I decided to leave it and to pursue a barbering career. So,
well, there you go. Well, I'm glad you did, because I've never looked so fresh. We've also been joined by Monkey Boys Toys. He says, flapping yes, mate. I don't know what that means, but I never know what most things mean. We've also been joined by our Des T. He says, hello, everyone, with a fist bump. Hello, Des. Thank you for joining us. Who else have we got here in the chat? Jonathan Redmond. He says, evening all. Hello, Jonathan. How are you, mate? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. We've also
is that another police reference?
Oh, let me see. What did he say? I should really read it more.
Evening all. It's a police.
Oh, it might be.
Police
it might be.
reference.
I'm a bit blind to these things, you see. Here we go. So we were also joined by Kieran Bull, and he's saying hello to everyone. And hello, Kieran. Thank you for coming on. Kieran's got really good knowledge of films and stuff. He always joins in and participates in the chat. I've been trying to get him on the show, but he's never responded or messaged me. But we'll break him one day. Who else have we got? We've also been joined by Stu, Universal Toy Collector. Now, Rob, you actually appeared in the chat of Stu's football stream the other night, didn't you? You were like up the cherries, if I recall.
That's me, yeah. Being a Dorset boy, then I'm a big Cherries fan. So if there's any sort of going forward, open invitation. Well, I say open invitation to Stu, but if ever he needs a Bournemouth and a South Coast perspective on any of his output, then I'm more than happy to chip in.
Well, there's something which I don't, is about football. I'm a boxing guy. The other night I just started agreeing with Martin Long about Liverpool just because I wanted to feel involved. So that's what I did. But really, when you came in, I should have been up the cherries. My old man is a massive Cherries supporter, has been for years. I mean, born in Parkstone, he's going to be a Cherries boy, isn't he? So
yeah.
I'm a massive disappointment to my dad that I don't like football. But just quick before we carry on in the comments, one of the reasons I blame for me not being into football is because my dad used to come home on a Saturday afternoon and that bloody teleprompter thing would be on, Wigan 1, whoever else 0, and it would just bore the crap out of me. So that's my association with football. But fair play to all those of you who enjoy it. We've also been joined by Andy, Triple H DX. Good evening, sir. I always say to people, Andy's got a cracking channel for audio gear. So if you want to sort your audio gear out, check his channel out. He knows. There is a man in the know. He helped me out massively. Who else have we got? Oh, we need our best pirate impressions here for our Pete. Pete's Toys and Tings. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. Who else have we got? Let's have a look. We've also been joined by our man from Ireland, Connor Fuller. He says he's got a question for you, Rob. Do you wax nasal hair? Asking for Nick.
Oh, not in my current shop. That is...
How rude. I saw it earlier and was laughing, so I thought I'd best bring it up. You can't expect any less from Connor. He's a good man. I love Connor. We've also been joined by the better half of the Universal Toy Collector, our Georgie Norris, who's also joined us on A Real Impact, and my other podcast, the Action Popcast. Evening, fellas. Hey to all lovely lot in the chat. Good to see you, Georgie. Thank you for joining us this evening. Always lovely to have you along. And my show regular, one of the ladies who helped me get Real Impact off the ground, our Cat, Only Vader's Girl, who will be back with me shortly. We've got another film lined up. Hey guys, great movie to review. It's a cracker, isn't it, Cat? Great film. And thank you for joining us. We've also been joined by Arsai, Manga Fandanga. I don't know if you've ever seen before, Rob, but if you go back and look at the Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon stream, the thumbnail, Sai is an incredible artist. He drew that Bruce Lee. Cracking artist. Awesome. Check his work out, man. Absolutely banging, man.
That's not Bruce Lee in his profile picture, though, is it?
No, isn't that the woman from Coronation Street?
It's Hilda Ogden.
Hilda Ogden, that's it. Nora Batty. Nora Batty's from bloody Last of the Summer Wine, isn't she?
Yeah. Try and explain that one to our American viewers.
Yeah, deep cut for our American friends there. I can I can only apologise, but it is what it is. Look, and jumping in just as I thought we'd hit the end of the list is Travels and More with Jason. He says, "Hi all, hi Jason. Good to see you. Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this evening." Right. So, Rob, I always say, I don't always say this, but I always think to myself, where the bloody hell do we begin? I've got so many notes and I'm not sure what to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to you, I've already asked why you picked this film. This film is, of course, Lethal Weapon from 1987. It is the first of 4 films in the series. And I'm going to give a little plot summary just in case anyone hasn't seen this. I find that highly unlikely. But then, it was only the other week that Jojo, saw this. But just in case anyone hasn't seen this, put your teeth back in. Veteran LAPD detective Roger Murtaugh is partnered with Martin Riggs, a young and suicidal narcotics officer. Together they undercover a drug smuggling operation while navigating their contrasting personalities and forming an unlikely bond. Would you say that's pretty accurate, Rob?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Riggs is he's a single guy, obviously not voluntarily single with the way that things have progressed, and Murtaugh is a family man. And so he brings him in to the family hold, and it's easy to say that they are what's the term? They are different ends of the spectrum, the policing spectrum.
Indeed,
in their private lives.
You've got Roger, the devoted family man, likes to take it easy, makes a point of saying he's in however many years on the force, he's never been shot at, he's never been hurt, he hasn't had to really use his weapon or anything. And then you've got Riggs, haven't you, who, as you says, recently 3 years prior has lost his wife Vicky in a car accident, which we find more about in the sequel. Spoiler. And sorry, Joe, that is a spoiler. Shut up, Nick. And
not massive.
Not massive. No, and it has been out for a few years. But no, he's as the other detective says in The Office, that really cheesy line. He's on the ragged edge. They see that description there says suicidal, but I come to the conclusion that Riggs doesn't want to take his life. Is my thing on it, because it's almost like he wants someone else to do it. He's tired of living, but he doesn't want to die, is how I sort of see the character.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, you can say that, and it's one of the most intense scenes in the film. I would say is when he's using the gun and he's got the hollow point round in the gun and he puts it in his head and then he puts it in his mouth. That for me personally, just that scene alone probably should have got Mel Gibson an Oscar nomination. I was quite surprised that he didn't. I didn't do the research deep enough to look into who got nominated for Oscars that year. But if you want my opinion on how he's portrayed in this film, he definitely comes across as being crazy. Or he's meant to be portrayed as being crazy, even down to the way he's styled. So if you look at his hair throughout, it was the 80s, and
that
obviously
sort of
doing the job I do. The job I do. Obviously, one of the first things I look at is hair, and and try and take something from that. And it was the mullet, but it's all crazy, like a mad scientist a lot of the time, particularly when he is at the Christmas tree, doing the Christmas tree deal and the cocaine deal there, and he's fighting with them, and you can see his hair's in the right mess and stuff. So he's definitely trying to be portrayed as crazy. But one of the last things he says in the film is that he's not crazy.
Oh,
as they go back into the house.
Yeah, absolutely. And very, very good character. One of the things I really like about this film is how much both characters do grow throughout this movie. I feel it's almost like Roger sort of rediscovers the fire, and Rick sort of comes to terms with some demons, and I think that's their sort of contrasting journey, which I think is really good. I'm just going to quickly say here hello to Delvian Seek, who's joined us this evening as well. Hello, Delvian. Thank you for joining us. I did see you pop in. What else have we got here? There we go. Right. So, yeah, I've got a question for you now, Rob. I don't know. you may have already answered this. We were chatting a bit before. I don't know if you answered this when I said to you at first, but when did you first see the movie?
So, like I say, I saw the second one first, and then I did a bit of delving. So I saw the second one when it came out. So I would have been 10, and I thought to myself, I enjoyed that one, so I'll go back and sort of retrospectively see where we started off, really, and going forward again. Not spoiler alert, but this is the grounding. This film is the grounding for then what goes on in the next three films in relation to how their relationship develops. What's that?
Delvian's from Connor Fuller. Delvian's voice is actually registered as a lethal weapon. Any woman that listens to his smooth jazz tones are susceptible to losing control while driving. Right, so just to derail the stream slightly, as I like to do, Delvian, are you aware of who Whispering Bob Harris is?
Who, me?
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Delvian sounds like. He sounds like Whispering Bob Harris.
Whispering Bob Harris is very softly spoken, and he talks very similar to this. Very
sort of. I mean, he spoke to me for 2 seconds, and I wanted to leave my wife and run off with him. he's got that voice, man. He's got that voice.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway. Very very lucky man, clearly.
Oh, I like that. Nick, have you lost weight? As it looks like in your face. I've been losing a bit of weight, Jace. Thank you very much for noticing. Yeah. So. Let's go into a few sort of facts and figures of the movie just to sort of get through the production bump before we discuss more. Director of this movie, Richard Donner, unfortunately passed away on the 5th of July, 2021. I believe he was in his 90s. Notable films. Well, the big one here, Superman, 1978. I mean, there's no way we're going to get away from that. Goonies, the rest of the Lethal Weapon series, Scrooged, Maverick, Ladyhawke, there's loads. I've just put a few down because we will literally just be here discussing Richard Donner films.
I think he's massively underrated as a director. You look at those films that he's directed. So, like you say, Superman 1 and 2, easily the best Superman film. The Omen, like you say, Ladyhawke, Goonies, Scrooged. And he produced as well.
Conspiracy Theory, Assassins.
Yeah. He produced Free Willy and X-Men as well. So, you know, I think he's massively underrated.
Yeah, and what was interesting reading up and watching stuff about him was as much as he's done a lot of action, he did a lot of action and whatnot, is I do like this about him, how he said this himself, he was more interested on focusing on the characters of the film and the relationships between the characters than he actually was the explosions and the big bangs in his action films. And for me, that's one of the things I like about Lethal Weapon, and the relationship between the characters, I feel, grows stronger as each movie goes on. Obviously, they've known each other longer, but that's one of the things I took away from it. Very good at telling the story of people. I don't know if you agree with that, Rob, but that's my sort of
completely. And I think it contrasts as well with Shane Black's writing styles. So Shane Black is all about the over the top stuff, whereas, like you just said, he clearly in the direction looks at how relationships are formed. You look at Superman, for example, and even the Goonies, for example, you know, how their relationships all become formed with Superman, with Lois Lane and that sort of thing. So, yeah, no, absolutely. But I think, like I say, it definitely contrasts with Shane Black with the way that he writes.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for bringing up Shane Black, because, of course, he was the writer of the movie. Originally a lot darker script than what we got. And Richard Donner stepped in. I believe he pulled a guy called Jeffrey Boehm, uncredited on this movie, worked on The Lost Boys, to do some rewrites.
Okay.
To sort of add some humour and add a little bit, although there's dark themes in this, as we know, just to sort of not make it all dark, to sort of have that light and shade, which I think he did a very, very good job of. Other notable films that he has written, Lethal Weapon, obviously 87, or why I've listed that, I do not know, because this is what we're talking about. The Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, Long Kiss Goodnight, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, The Nice Guys, The Predator from 2018, plus many, many more. This is a guy who's done lots and lots of stuff, but this, I believe, was his first big breakout. I think he sold this to Warner Brothers initially for about $250,000. So
yeah.
this is
And the
when he
things
sort
that,
of first made it.
and a lot of things that, one of the things that Shane Black is sort of notable for is the way that he threads a Christmas theme into all it, like every single film that you've mentioned, apart from Predator, obviously, and Monster Squad. The rest of them, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, well, Lethal Weapon 1, Christmas, Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, Long Kiss Goodnight, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, Nice Guys, Christmas themes.
Absolutely,
you know the reason why he does that. He does that apparently because Christmas is a time there, people are coming together, and there's a lot of scenarios that you can set around Christmas time, and that is then led into next year's. Somebody's obviously pilfered whoever wrote Die Hard, because then they've used that in the Die Hard in the Die Hard script as well.
Absolutely, and later on, well, very shortly we'll be getting into it, but there's a few crossover interesting things about Die Hard and Lethal Weapon that I'll go into momentarily. Well, in a moment. Notable producers on this movie: Joel Silver, Die Hard, The Matrix, Predator. Richard Donner was also one of the producers as well as the director on this. The filming period was apparently between August to November in 1986. The release date in the US was March 6th, 1987, and we got it in the UK on August 28th, 1987. The production company was Silver Pictures, distributor Warner Brothers, and this is the part that I think is fantastic, and you can fill the gaps in here because we spoke about this bit before. The budget of this movie was $15 million. The overall gross was $120.2 million worldwide. But what was it you said that it took in America, Rob?
Just half of the 120 million. It's 65.2 I've got in the US. So not a bad little set of numbers for 1987. I don't know where it came.
Bloody good.
I don't know where it came in the top 10 sort of, but overall films for 87, but I'm fairly sure it's quite high.
Oh yeah, definitely did well for the year. And I've said in previous streams, and I'll say it on this one, I don't adjust figures for today. I just go with the figures as they were back then. I could adjust them, but I thought about doing it, but it just seems like more work for a 2-second segment in the script. But
but talking about like end of year figures and stuff like that. So do you know who was originally going to direct this film?
No, I think I might. Go on, tell me.
He left to go and direct Three Men and a Baby.
Yes, I do know. Yeah. Sorry, my brain. Leonard Nimoy. We could have had a very
Mr. Spock himself. We could have had a very interesting.
Yeah, I do believe that the reason he turned it down was because he hadn't worked on an action film before, and he felt it may have been illogical for him to.
So then he decided to go and work on a comedy instead. Then, because those Star Trek films are a laugh a minute, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't want to say too much. I know we got some massive Star Trek fans in this.
Yeah, but there's humour in them. But they're not.
No. We've got to be honest. We got to be honest. No, I mean, Three Men and a Baby. This show is certainly not about that, but I saw that loads as a kid because my mum really liked that film. I actually got taken to the cinema to see the sequel, Three Men and a Little Lady. Yeah, I got put through that as a kid. That's the problem with being the only boy in a house full of women. I was subjected to a lot of films, which, it was what it was. But hey, I do love lots of different films. But yeah, just to finish up on our notes here, a theatrical runtime of 1 hour and 49 minutes. Now, the director's cut. I'll get into this. 1 hour and 57 minutes on the director's cut. It wasn't really a director's cut. It was a marketing ploy by Warner Brothers to make a few more quid. They chucked in the deleted scenes, the scenes that you now get. The Blu-ray's been restored to the theatrical cut, and those scenes are now deleted scenes. And before I jump back into the chat, I just want to say to you, Rob, I watched this Thursday night. I mean, I've seen this film loads. I watched all the Lethal Weapon films again this Christmas gone because they were all on Channel 5 or whatever they were on. Had them all recorded, and I do believe what was on TV was the theatrical cut. I was sat there annoying Carla going, this is added. Although there are some interesting scenes in the director's cut, I don't think they add anything, and I think they were better left on the cutting room floor, because I feel they sort of undermine the power of other scenes. Like, for instance, when he's in the caravan with the hollow point and that, we're establishing twice over Riggs's mental state, and it kind of makes the next scene underwhelming. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, so you've seen both. I've only seen the original theatrical cut, but I've also watched the deleted scenes. Now, there's a bit one of the deleted scenes I saw was the establishing shots of the three sort of main characters, for want of a better word. The one where we initially see Riggs, where he's in his trailer. Now, my understanding is initially he was in a bar beating up some guys. Is that?
Yeah, now, that is a scene that was filmed, but that wasn't put into the director's
cut.
Okay. That's
I
was
on the
they
information.
Didn't restore.
Right. Okay. The sniper, the sniper situation, I wouldn't have. No, there's no need for that. In there, I think it makes him it over-eggs the craziness. I think by having that
exactly
in there.
How I felt,
and also with the so for the people that haven't seen it, basically as an additional sort of scene to it, Riggs turns up at a there's a sniper in the top of this school that's taking out kids or trying to take out kids, and Riggs completely just walks into the school playground and just shoots the sniper with no regard to his own safety, just takes him out. And then there's another scene as well where he picks up a prostitute, isn't there? Is that in the director's cut?
That is in the director's cut. Yeah, that's the scene where he literally just pays the lady of the night to go and watch Three Stooges with him.
That's right, yeah.
It's a completely redundant scene. It adds absolutely nothing to the film. It does not move it on any further.
All it does is overemphasize his loneliness, and that the extremes he's willing to go to in order to show how lonely he is. And again, Richard Donner is all about character and stuff like that, and he would have been wise enough to realize we don't need that because it's just overdoing it.
Yeah, and that's one of my points when I go director's cut. It wasn't a director's cut, and if I'm honest with you, I don't normally replace my DVDs for Blu-rays. I know some people do. For me, it doesn't bother me. But this is one instance where I want to now buy the Blu-ray, because all the DVDs I've seen out there are the director's cut, and I don't like it. I'd rather not have those scenes. It's not how I first saw the movie, and it doesn't really add anything to it.
Yeah. Plus, we all know the issue with those Warner Brothers DVDs as well.
Yeah. Those Warner Brothers DVDs certainly can fail. I'm just having a quick look at the chat, which has just jumped. What's it say here? Des, 3 Men and a Baby has been tainted by Cy and baby Luke Reynolds ZSR intro. Right, so on the ZSR stream that Shappy does with Matt and Terry, our Cy Manga Fandanga, if you ever post a picture of yourself anywhere on Instagram or anything, you are at the mercy of Cy cropping your head off and putting you on to adding you into films and moments from pop culture, and they are hilarious. But it's, anything you post. Connor's saying it made it better. We've also been joined by Gilster37. He says, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, one of the famous lines from the film. Let me have a look. Kieran, there's also a censor cut of Lethal Weapon where Donner filmed certain scenes twice. For example, the opening with the almost naked woman was also filmed with her clothed. I did not know that.
No, I didn't know that. I'll tell you what, though, what I was going to say the other night. So with that particular scene, when the lady jumped. So first off, what I find interesting about this film to start with is you've got the first 3 people in that film, in theory, are depicted as naked or semi-clothed. So you've got Amanda Hudsucker jumps off the balcony, obviously, and she's semi-clad. Murtaugh is in the bath with, how do we say this? Quite a relaxed attitude to family bathing, shall we say?
Yeah.
Because that's just odd.
I mean, it's a theme that carries on through all the films, but yeah, I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, in my house, mate, you try and go to the loo, have a shower, have a bath. I've got a 10-year-old, and you know, you have to lock the door because they've got
Yeah.
no concept of privacy at all.
Yeah.
But no, he's got obviously his wife, his daughters, his son. But they just all bust in to sing him happy birthday, and it's like, leave the man be. He's starkers in the bath. I mean,
Yeah.
different families, different dynamics. It was the 80s, but I'd be like, get out! I'm in the bath here. But
And then for Mel Gibson, obviously his first scene is in his butt being shown off, and I was thinking that's a very peculiar way to introduce
I'm
three
reliably
characters.
informed Jojo absolutely loved that scene. She did tell me on WhatsApp. So
all right, okay, not so much Danny Glover then, no.
no, not so much Danny Glover. She did like the Mel Gibson rear view, shall we say? And before I forget, Mel Gibson's ass has not reminded me of this, but I didn't say hello to TJC. Hello, TJC. Thank you for joining us this evening. So yes, where were we? I have to say, Joe, the first 5 minutes were her favorite. She enjoyed the beginning scene with the lady. She enjoyed Mel Gibson's bum. She enjoyed what this film had to offer. So
good. Well, there's something for everyone there, then, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So going back to the leaping off the balcony scene. So there was always something with that scene that really sort of I felt jarred by. And the thing is, I mentioned this the other night when we were chatting about this briefly. There is the way that the cinematographer and obviously Donna as well has filmed her falling onto the car. If you look, they leave it till the last minute before they cut, and then she hits the car. And I've often thought to myself, how the heck did they manage to get somebody that close falling before they smash on the car? Okay. Whatever floats your boat, Joe.
Fair play, Joe. Joe admitting that Danny Glover would still get it. So there you go. We're happy days.
So,
basically, Joe loves everyone in the cast. Anyway, sorry, take you off your train there.
So she's falling on top of the car, and then he cuts just as she hits the top of the car there. What they did to do that, to get that scene so that they could cut it at the last minute before she made impact, was they painted top down where the car was going to be. And that's onto an airbag. So, and I was going to, unfortunately, obviously she's topless, so I wasn't going to put it in this, but you can just about see it if you watch it. And I'll advise everybody just to watch the first 5 minutes again if they want to go back and see it. But if you pause it just at the moment of impact, you can see the creases where she hits I could have done that, you see. But you can see the creases in the airbag as she's about to hit it. And now I've seen it, I can't unsee it, but it gives such an impactive sort of, this girl is really hitting that car. And I just thought that was, again, a genius, just a simple genius way of doing it.
The other night, you were going to go into it, and I believe I said to you, I don't know about this part, Rob. Don't tell me. Don't tell me, because we'll have the discussion on the night. As I made it, and I forgot to bring it up earlier, here is, of course, the film posters for Lethal Weapon, videotape, and the cinematic poster, the cinema poster. But I did bring this slide up here. I did have to add some censorship on this photo. I think I did quite a good job there.
Yeah, tactful.
Tactful, very good. Lethal Weapon, all branded. But this in the top left corner here is the young lady, Amanda Hunsucker, who takes a dive off of the building onto the car that Rob's talking about. But that's really clever. I didn't know that. So yeah, it's basically like a matte painting onto an airbag.
Yep.
Boom, cut.
Yep. Honestly, it's such a sharp cut that you can't see it. You can see. I'm assuming back then when we didn't. Obviously, I was watching it in 4K, or I think it was 4K. I don't know, but it was a higher quality than what they would have got in '87. And you can just pause it just in time. What I'll do, I'll take a photo of it and I'll send it to you. You'll see it. It's honestly, people should have a look out for it. It's such a clever way of doing, such a simple way of doing it.
It is, and I'm always a believer that, I mean, obviously it wasn't well, there was CGI back then, but it was very, very basic, very, very, very basic. But I believe with a lot of films that CGI should be used. I know it wasn't available then. Should be used as an absolute minimum, and practical effects. Films that have effects like this. One of the reasons they age so well is because they're not covered with aging CGI. I mean, that shot of her coming down from the car, it's graphic, it's jarring, sure, it's unsettling, it's unnerving, but that scene holds up. That scene still looks as great as anyone can, smashing into the roof of a car, let's be fair.
And that's the actual actress doing it as well. It's not a stunt person. That's the actual actress doing it. And yeah, fair play to her for doing that. She didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just going to say hello here to Zoe T. She says, hello, Zoe. Zoe also joined me on an episode of Real Impact, and we covered Mamma Mia. I will cover anything. So there you go. Did you watch that episode, Rob?
I did, and I made my thoughts clear. Yeah, seeing what had me, I was dating a girl at the time, and we went to see the film, and it was the bit when Pierce Brosnan started singing. That's what finished me off. I was like, "This is James Bond," and yeah, I'm not a big lover of ABBA anyway. ABBA's. Yeah.
We can't all love ABBA, but
no, I think I said at the time my favourite ABBA song is "Hung Up" by Madonna.
Right. Kieran here. What's he said? You should watch the Lethal Weapon parody, Loaded Weapon, Jojo. They recreate that scene with Emilio Estevez. Right. Yeah. I've got some stuff about that later on, but yeah, no. I loved that film as a kid. Anyway, let's see where we are. I think we have mentioned cast and that, but I think we should probably spend a little bit of time talking about the cast. We've got our lead actors, Mel Gibson playing Martin Riggs. What I find interesting in this is he was 30 years old at the time of filming, playing a 38-year-old.
Yep.
What I find even more disturbing is that I am now older than Mel Gibson was when they filmed this film, and older than his character was. He was playing. That upsets me, Rob. That makes me feel really old. But yeah, Mel Gibson, notable movies. Do we really need to do it? No, but I'm going to anyway. The Mad Max films, the Lethal Weapon movies, Braveheart, Ransom, Maverick, Forever Young, The Patriot, Signs, to say a few. Also known for directing movies, Braveheart, Axel Ridge, The Passion of Christ, Flight Risk. That's an upcoming one in 2025, plus others. He's Mel Gibson. It's Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, Mel Gibson, over with his views of certain sections of society, has somewhat tarnished his reputation, hasn't he? So
yeah, he didn't do himself any favours, and Ricky Gervais certainly held him to account for it at the Golden Globes awards show. Yeah. If you haven't seen Ricky Gervais at those shows, man, oh my God, he is brutal.
I like a drink as much as the next man, and the next man's Mel Gibson.
Gervais don't care, man. Gervais don't care.
Nope.
We also had Danny Glover playing Roger Murtaugh. He was 40 years old at the time of filming this, playing a 50-year-old, and he played it well. There's a theme here with ages as we go through. Notable films, a couple of years before, he'd done The Colour Purple, which was one of the films which got him noticed and wanted them to get him into this. Predator 2, he obviously did the Lethal Weapon movies, Beloved, Dreamgirls. He was in the Saw movies. Done plenty of other stuff. He's Danny Glover. I get him saying
Witness. He was good in Witness. He was good in Witness as well. He did that the year before The Colour Purple. And have you seen Witness?
I'm going to hold my hands up and say I haven't seen that one, so I didn't include it there. But
it's Harrison Ford. It's a good film. Harrison Ford goes on the run in an Amish community, and he plays a bad guy in that. It's really quite weird seeing Danny Glover playing a bad guy. He's in the Royal Tenenbaums as well. If you like Wes Anderson stuff, he's quite good in that. But a minor role in that. Yeah, I
saw that a long time ago, but I've seen that. We've also got the supporting cast. Darlene Love playing Trish Murtaugh's wife. Now, she was actually lead singer of a girl group called The Blossoms, and a solo recording artist. Hasn't done much in movies. They think she's retired now, but she's also returned for Lethal Weapon. So you know, Tracy
she sung the Christmas song. Darlene Love's. No, she sung the Christmas song. Christmas, the snow was falling down in Home Alone, one of the Home Alone films, I think it was.
I did not know that.
It was. Yeah.
I did not know that. Let me have a quick.
So another link to Christmas there.
Another
I don't know
linked
which one it
Christmas
is.
one. We'll have a look. We'll have a look. We also had a very young Tracy Wolf, but she's not as young as you think. Riggs Murtaugh, his teenage daughter, she was 26 at the time of filming, playing a 16-year-old.
So her having a crush on Mel Gibson isn't as creepy as now. Ironically, it's not creepy now as it would have been back then. Whereas these days, it's normally creepy now, but it wasn't back then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's but yeah, it's sort of talking of creepy things that she was in. She was in the Cosby Show, Lethal Weapon movies. She had a modelling career. And she's only actually, she was only actually a few years younger than Mel Gibson at the time of filming. So we also had Gary Busey as Mr. Joshua. I love him in this film. I think I like Gary, but I hear Gary Busey, everything I read, he's not the nicest person in real life, but that's what the media tells you. I mean, can we believe the media? But as Mr. Joshua, he's brilliant. Apparently lost something like £40 for this movie. Okay. Notable films: the Buddy Holly story, Point Break, which we've done on Real Impact, Under Siege, Predator 2, The Firm. Gary Busey's excellent. We also had Mitchell Ryan as General McAllister, the guy who was in charge. It was Delta Force, wasn't it? Delta Force people. Yeah. He was in Magnum Force, Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. That's Halloween 3. Judge Dredd in 95, Hot Shots Part 2, Liar Liar, to name but a few. Also, Michael Hunsucker was played by Tom Atkins from The Fog, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Maniac Cop, and Jackie Swanson. I wanted to bring her up because, Jackie Swanson. I've read the wrong name there. Jackie Swanson was Amanda Hunsucker, the young lady who jumped off the car. I believe that she was actually in Cheers. I haven't got anything else for her, but Mary Ellen Trainor was the person I wanted to bring up. Sorry.
Yeah, that's who I thought you were talking about.
Dr. Stephanie Woods. Loved her in all the films. Only a very short role. Sadly, she died in 2015 of cancer. She was in the Goonies, Die Hard, very brief scene in Die Hard as a reporter, I believe, and the Lethal Weapon movies. But she's great. And the dynamic moving on from Lethal Weapon into 2, 3, and 4, the way Riggs just absolutely winds her up.
Just annihilates her, doesn't he? He's just such a
he does. And if rumors are true, which we'll get into a bit later on, if they do bring back Lethal Weapon 5, if it does happen, she'll be missed. It's a small role, but it became a staple of the films. So that's what am I saying here? Amanda Hunsucker. What have I got here? I've messed something up here. I think it was Kelly Gaines who actually played Amanda Hunsucker. I think I've messed my notes up. I do apologise, everyone. Anyone watching back, you can tell me off. I jumped across my notes. But while I find my correction here to make sure I've got that right, so there's a lot of names, Rob. Which character or performance do you think, or did you have a favourite character or performance in the movie that you felt stood out among others?
I mean, they, like I said before, the Mel Gibson, they could have over-egged his craziness, or is he crazy, aspect to his character, but they played it really well. Busey, I mean, he got nominated for an Oscar for the Buddy Holly story. Now, I haven't seen that, and I'm trying to think now. Buddy Holly, in my head, has obviously got dark hair, and I can't imagine him at all. I haven't seen any video or any photos of him at all as Buddy Holly.
I haven't seen it myself, I must admit. No. It's not something I've seen. I mean, what I know about Buddy Holly is because we had to do a musical project on that school. So I'm just correcting myself. I've gone on IMDb. Forgive me for my mistake. It was Jackie Swanson who played Amanda Hunsucker. So I do apologise for my error there. I've obviously got crossed over on my notes somewhere. It happens, and I do apologise. But moving on swiftly, so we don't get too tied down by me being inefficient and a terrible host. Sorry, I asked you the question, and I was sort of missing part of it. Sorry, you were saying, was it Gary Busey was the standout for you there, Rob?
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah, because I mean, you look at the other the other films that he's been in, and this is by far, I think you'd probably agree, by far his nastiest, his best role for what I've seen him in. When you compare it to what he did in Point Break, Under Siege, and he was in The Firm as well with Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
but I don't really remember him in that.
I have seen The Firm. The Firm. That's the one where they're blagging the timesheets for the mafia, isn't it? If I recall, is that the one?
So it's been a while.
It has been a very long time for me. It's been a very long time for me, to be fair. So there you go. There's my movie knowledge absolutely smashed to pieces. But
you know how some people they just play a bad guy. You know, they just play a bad guy really well. He's one of those. He's got that icy sort of stare all throughout this. Even the bit with the old lighter on the arm and all that sort of thing. He just, he plays it so well. He's by far probably the best person in this, because the characters then going forward as well into the other films, as we've discussed, they develop more, whereas he's very much a rounded character straight off the bat in this film.
Here, I know what I did. One of my notes when I messed up. Kelly Gaines was the character that she played in Cheers. So okay. I wrote her name, then I wrote Kelly Gaines, and I don't know if you noticed, I was a bit like, who's bloody Kelly Gaines? I don't remember.
Well, I was scratching my head thinking.
Yeah, no, that was the character she played in Cheers. So yeah, I said I was going to move on from it. So yeah, that's what I did. That's the beauty of live. We don't have editors. So I'm going to jump back in the comments section, see if we've had any more comments. Someone may have corrected me before I've gone through all that painful trying to find out what my error was. That's what happens. I showed you my notes earlier. That's what happens when you don't highlight things or bullet point them and you just leave them as all gobbledygook where you type. We have been joined by Gerard O'Connor, one of the super spanners. Thank you for joining us, Ger. Absolutely awesome to have you in this evening. We've also been joined by my mate Philo Matt. Sorry, late to the party. I know Philo. You may have even cut his hair at some point. He's a local lad. Worked with him. Yeah, good bloke, good bloke. Very funny indeed. Have we got anything? Have we had anyone else in? There we go. Kieran got it first. Jackie Swanson also played Kelly Gaines in Cheers. That was it. So, yeah, if only I'd have scrolled through the comments, Kieran. I know you had my back from minute one. I didn't have to go through all that. Let me have a look. I think I think we're there for the comments at the moment. I obviously will check back as we go. Let me jump back into my notes. Right. Music and score of this movie. I'm going to ask you now before we go into the details. Is the score of this movie a favourite of yours or one that you particularly enjoy, Rob?
Not overly. I mean, it's Clapton, isn't it? He does a lot of the score with this, and it's definitely him. What I found interesting as well is when obviously with a lot of films, and people have, particularly in the Star Wars films, for an example, people have a theme, a music theme, as it were, and Murtaugh's got that saxophone.
Saxophone,
yeah. So, you know, and then what's Riggs's one? But there is it's distinctive with them, and it's it helps define the characters a little bit more, just having that sort of like sullen, downtrodden sort of saxophone sort of thing for Murtaugh.
I mean, it's worth saying the main composer of the movie was Michael Kamen. Michael Kamen, yep. Eric Clapton. Swear I bit my tongue earlier. Eric Clapton obviously contributed the guitar parts for Riggs, and there was a chap called a chap called David Sanborn who played the saxophone moments. So that was a very deliberate thing. Michael Kamen was a little bit apprehensive, from what I understand, about taking this on because he didn't want to do action movies, although he went on to do loads of action movies. But yeah, Michael Kamen. Obviously, the parts from Eric Clapton. Are you not a fan of Eric Clapton then?
No, I am. I just think that, to be honest with you, there's for the theme tune to Lethal Weapon 3, I quite like. That's on one of my playlists, to be fair. That's Sting and Clapton. And I think, did Clapton do all four? I don't know. I didn't do the research that much on that one.
I certainly know he did the first couple. I haven't looked into the later ones. You've got to come back. We'll look at those ones when you come back to do the sequels, Rob. You're in now, mate. You're in. There's no escaping.
It's killing me.
Kamen and Clapton, they previously worked together on a TV show called The Edge of Darkness, which is why he wanted to pull Clapton in. That the work on that particular TV show was one of the reasons why they pulled Michael Kamen in. They liked it. So there's your main themes. Anyone who's seen the film, or if you haven't seen the film, which I'd be surprised if you haven't at this point, that there is that distinctive theme, electric guitar for Riggs, and there's that sort of that verging on almost 80s porn movie sax sound. It's
You interpret it as a porn movie, sax, and I see it as a guy who's sort of like, oh God, I'm going through this again, sort of. That's what it makes me feel like. This every time it's played to him, it's like when he has a phone
just
call
shows
with
where our minds are at, doesn't it?
Well, I didn't want to say that, but when he has a phone call with the psychiatrist, and she says, that Riggs is crazy and stuff, and then they play the saxophone solo, and it's just crazy. Like I say, for me, it evokes sort of, oh God, I'm having to deal with this crap, and I'm just about to retire. So that's what it makes me feel when that sax goes off.
Yeah, I joke about the porn thing, but it reminds me sort of as down on it's at times it's almost like down on your luck sort of theme as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
but it's interesting that they pick a sort of down on your luck sort of theme for Murtaugh, although he's the guy who's got everything. And although you go to guitar for Riggs, the Clapton guitar, which is still very much a sort of down on yourself. I mean, there is that bit for Roger, like that dang, 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 ding, ding, dang, dang, that sort of more upbeat. It's interesting to me that they both primarily have sort of down on themselves tunes, when Roger's the guy who's maybe he's lost his fire, as we said earlier on in the stream, but you'd think he'd have a slightly more upbeat to Riggs. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. He's got away from the job. He's got the perfect life, as it were. He's got his boat. He's got his family. He's got his house. Well, spoiler alert, not much of a house at the end of the film, but he's still got his house.
Or in a few of the films, to be fair.
Yeah, true.
It's a bit of a theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like it. I think it works. I don't think it's too dated. Is it of its time? Yes, but
very much so.
If they came back, if they do revisit the Lethal Weapon films, I don't want them to drop those particular themes for them. It's synonymous with them now. It's expected,
I think all four films were very much of their time. Oh, right. Okay.
Kieran Ball there saying Boosie did indeed have black hair whilst playing Buddy Holly. There you go. Thank you so much, Kieran, for filling in the gaps. Who knew
actors can change their appearance when they're going from role to role? Who knew that?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Some lose weight, some cut their hair, some
even change their accents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each film, I think, is very much a product of its time going forward. So if you're looking at, so again, don't want to touch onto it too much, but if you're looking at 2, for example, that's based around just before the apartheid ends in South Africa. 3 is around gang culture, just around the time that the LA riots are kicking off, and 4 is about like the China was thawing at the time, and the access to China was getting easier to communicate and trade with them and stuff like that. So they very much take the themes of the day and run with it throughout all 4
even
films.
to the point of, you can see on Roger's fridge, they've got the End Apartheid sticker on the fridge.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they absolutely do lean into themes of the time. And what's interesting as well is when Murtaugh's character was written, that there was no sort of race or anything written. It was just it was a blank. It was blank. It was for the actor to come in and add their own, and that was one of the things that Danny Glover liked, that he added elements of his culture into it, and I think that really worked as well. Especially, I know we're on Lethal Weapon 1, but I think, as you say, by the time you sort of get to Lethal Weapon 3 and you've got the gang culture thing, I think it's interesting to see a guy who was around, especially then you had the LA riots in, as you said, in the second one. I think that was I'm babbling here, but I think that Danny Glover was an exceptional pick for Murtaugh, and of course you can see the chemistry.
That's the thing. It's the chemistry. I think when Shane Black writes, he writes without race in mind at all. So as you say, I don't think it was just, it wasn't designed to be like that. But if you look going forward in the buddy cop movies, if you think about Die Hard, for example, you've got Bruce Willis and Al, you know, the cop. I can't remember the actor's name. You got Last Boy Scout. You've got Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. What else have we got here? There's a few others that have a white and black leads or co-stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
48 Hours.
48 Hours. Yep, that's one, and it works. It works. It's good. It's good. It's good to see different backgrounds merging and coming together, and how it all integrates. I think it's good. I think it's interesting. Jumping back in, however, to the music, because I do like to derail my own show. The start of the film, interestingly, doesn't start with the Lethal Weapon theme. It starts with Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms. Yeah. Which we're going to go there in a bit. There was the song Lethal Weapon by Honeymoon Suite, which plays on the end credits. After Elvis plays, but I believe it's I'll Be Home for Christmas. Yeah. Immediately when the credits roll, another Christmas thing. Yeah. So I think it's a well-rounded and of its time. Is there anything else you want to say on the score before I jump in the comments and we move on to the next section?
Honestly, no. They were the only takeout points I've got from the score there. Clapton and
Let me see if anyone has added anything in here. There's Gerard, some useless yet hilarious adult movie trivia. Ron Jeremy starred in Super Mario theme movie titled Super Pornio.
Does he have to eat a mushroom to make him, grow in size in that film?
Gerard says you're all welcome.
Thanks.
Let's have a look here. The cop in Die Hard is Sergeant Al Powell. Thank you there, TJC. Yeah. Thank you there. Well, before we move off of the section, I said earlier we jump in some crossovers with Die Hard, sort of going a bit back and forth myself here, but did you know that Bruce Willis was considered for Riggs and Mel Gibson was considered for John McClane?
Right, okay.
Yeah, he was one of the considerations. And then, of course, the producers who crossed over, both films being set around the holidays. So and then Bruce Willis... Sorry, carry on, bud.
No, and then Bruce Willis obviously makes a cameo in Loaded Weapon when they shoot up the caravan that he's the beachfront caravan, and then he points him down the street. He says, "He's down there."
Yeah, some fans out there have speculated that it might be a shared universe, but I mean
that's a bit deep, isn't it?
It is a bit deep. I'm not sure I'd want to see that crossover. It'd be too late now. If you're going to do it, it would have had to have been years ago. Not now. It wouldn't really.
There's a lot of leaping off buildings between both films as well. I think it's
a lot of just randomly shooting people, and there not seeming to be any paperwork for it. So, any particular favourite scenes of the movie for you? Then let's go down this path now. I mean, I know you've discussed the special effects with Amanda, but
there's the obvious scene that as an ex-police officer, as a retired police officer, that you have to discuss, and that's the standout scene where he jumps off the building with the chap, the suicide guy. I mean that in itself obviously helps. It helps develop the character of Riggs as being, is he crazy or is he just a loose cannon sort of thing. Firstly, as I said to you the other day, Riggs wouldn't just be allowed. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. So Jonathan Redmond says. Says leaping off tall buildings was all the rage back in the late 80s.
In LA. If you can't go to LA and not jump off a building. But So he approaches the suicide, the chap on top of the suicide on the top of the building, just walks past the cop, and the cop just lets him. If it was me when I was doing that sort of thing, I would be the person that approached the person. I wouldn't just stand there and just wait for somebody to come and take over. Interesting fact, by the way. Yeah, that's it.
Just
bottom
that
left.
scene on the bottom there, bottom left. Yep.
As they're walking over to that, Riggs and Murtaugh, it's either before he goes to the top or just after he jumped. It's before. They walk past the cinema. Now, I looked at what were the showing at the cinema,
Lost
and
Boys,
I was trying. It was the Lost Boys, and I was trying for the life of me to work out. Firstly, when the Lost Boys was released, and second, because I'm sure it was after. I've got it here somewhere. Lost Boys playing the cinema, released in the US 31st of July 87, UK 23rd of October 87. And I was thinking, well, what's the link? But you've already mentioned what the link would have been. It would have been the co-script editor.
Yeah, absolutely. But they Warner Brothers likes to do clever things like that anyway, because if we've covered Demolition Man before, me and DTM Dave. In Demolition Man, there's a poster in the future of Lethal Weapon 3, which is the other film they are producing and putting out at the time. So it's something Warner Brothers likes to do, which why not? But no, I spotted that. I probably spotted it loads of times in the past, but not took it in. But obviously watching it for this, I did see it go, the Lost Boys. So
until you said that, I was racking my head thinking, what is the link? There's got to be a link there.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, as I say, with Warner Brothers liking to promote its other films in film, which why not? You know, get
it's
it
very
out
subtle
there,
though.
It is subtle. I mean, it's a bit more smack in your face in Demolition Man with the Lethal Weapon 3 poster.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it's really obvious. It's literally in Amanda Huxley's office. There is a Lethal Weapon 3 poster on the wall. I mean, you can't miss it. But no, it is very much blink and you'll miss it though. You are right. It's subtle.
Yeah.
It's
But going back to that scene, obviously, then sorry, go on.
No, carry on, mate. Carry on. I'll come to
So then obviously he goes up to the scene and he's having this conversation with this chap on the roof and stuff like that. And then there's the obvious shot where he jumps off the top with them handcuffed together. And they obviously used rubber handcuffs or plastic handcuffs that broke, because obviously if you use metal handcuffs, you're going to break your wrists if you're falling that distance. But it's quite obvious that as they're jumping, you see it clear as day. The handcuffs just come apart and they're not together for the whole way down. It's
I mean, I've never been handcuffed by a policeman, shall we say? So I'm not sure how. I mean, in the films, that people and you see videos go, "Oh, you hurt me." Are they as painful as people make out? Can you really?
Yeah, you can make them. You can make them as painful as you want to. Some people like them away from a policing environment, shall we say? And I wouldn't even entertain it. No, it's just no.
Yeah, because of course now they've changed design now, haven't they? They're more sort of linked together rather than chains now, aren't they? Or is that just particular
it's a
ones?
solid? No, it's a solid metal bar, and then you've got a plastic cover over the top of them, and so they're solid. So you can't. There's no movement. You can move it and stuff like that, but you can't. Sort of jangle it about and stuff like that. There's no flexibility in it at all. They're not as sexy as some people think they are, Nick.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
Now, if I'm to talk about a scene in the film that I find, I just find. So when they go to rescue Rihanna and they're in the desert and the helicopter comes down, you've got the limo and you've got Mr. Joshua and all that, and he walks out and he pulls the grenade out of his out of his pocket, which turns out to be a smoke grenade. I was watching that, and obviously I've watched it with far more critical eyes to come to this show. Like rather than just letting it wash over me as 80s cheese, I'm looking at it now, and I know grenades are devastatingly dangerous. They're horrible things. But I'm looking and I'm thinking, you're in a big wide desert, and he's like, if she dies, she dies. She dies with me, my way. And I'm thinking, well, she's miles back there. I mean, I've watched enough Mythbusters to know that she's going to get caught with a bit of shrapnel, but she's not in the immediate danger zone. So, but then that's just this sort of 80s thing, isn't it? Like a grenade, it's a grenade. So it's obviously going to blow up everything in a sort of 2-mile radius when you're like, we're now in 2025 and I've seen Mythbusters and like how that grenade is like past those first row of people, it becomes less and less devastating. So are there any other scenes like that in the film that you watch? I mean, other that you've pointed out the handcuffs, are there any other scenes that you think, nah, crazy? I mean, you could say it for all the scenes, really. It's very over the top, this film.
So going down to the desert scene, what I found sort of what took me out of it somewhat more was how so Riggs gets shot in they go into the bar, and then Riggs gets shot by Gary Busey, by Mr. Joshua's henchman and stuff. And then he phones up the police and says, you know, talks to can I talk to Sergeant Riggs? Oh no, Sergeant Riggs got killed in the line of fire tonight. So anyway, cuts to the next day when they're in the desert, and Riggs is there, and they've already set it up, the fact that he's this sharpshooter from Vietnam,
I know what
and he's killed somebody from a kilometer away and what have you. And then so Mel Gibson starts taking shots at Joshua, bearing in mind, not 10 hours before, Joshua's randomly been told, as you do, oh yeah, that cop's dead. And then Riggs starts taking, yeah, exactly. What's the term he used? I've written it down because it was, yeah, damn it, it's Riggs, as he's shooting, and he's like, how did he jump to that conclusion? I just that's like, yeah, I just
the other one was how did the general get behind Riggs?
Yeah, without him knowing. Yeah, it's one of those things, like you say, you just have to go 80s films.
Yeah, well, it's 80s. It's happened. It's all good. These things happen in the 80s.
Yeah. And one more scene that I really enjoyed, actually, and I think that sets up going forward into how comedic the next will be, is when they go to the prostitute's house, Dixie's house, and they've got the kids out the front. And
you're going to bust Dixie.
Yeah, the kids start. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, at Dixie's house, the kids are chanting, "You're going to bust Dixie" before it blows up. And this is after, right at the start of the film, Murtaugh's already she's approached her, isn't he? She's approached at the
all
scene
dressed up and no one to blow.
All dressed up and no one to blow. So yeah, and then they start interrogating the kids on the thingy, and that's when they notice, obviously, Riggs's tattoo and stuff.
It was that one.
Don't tell him your name. Don't tell him your name,
Alfred.
Don't tell him
your name, Alfred. Hey, Alfred. This is Alfred, everybody. Say hi.
Yeah. How old are you? I'm 6.
It's interesting that what the kids are sort of going, don't talk to the police. Mum says that police. You just think it's of its time, and well,
absolutely
still prevalent
shoot
today
black
as well. And,
yeah,
absolutely. And you can see, and that's moments of the film I like, because you can see Riggs at first, he's like, what are we talking about? You can see him laughing, like, you can handle this one. he's just sort of there like,
yeah.
You have this one, mate. I felt a bit sorry for Alfred, because he goes, should we get ice cream? Yeah, ice cream. This kid, not you, Alfred.
Not you.
Did Alfred ever get his ice cream? That's the injustice in this film. Did Alfred ever get his ice cream?
No, but he didn't get shot, so win-win, I suppose.
Absolutely. I'm just going to jump back in the comments a moment. Let me just have a look. What's Jared's here? Riggs defined cool with cowboy boots, blue denims, and brass belt buckles. So iconic in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good look. Riggs has got a good look. In fact, in Lethal Weapon 4, spoiler alert, Joe, when he cut his hair short, I was like, nah, what'd you do that for? Kieran, wouldn't the grenade set off all the vehicles, Nick? Well, real world, no, I don't think it would, because the vehicles don't tend to explode. I mean, this is a movie. In a movie, yeah, I guess in a movie, you're to believe that the grenade will go off and there will be like a domino effect of explosions, but not. We're sort of looking now with like, we're trying to apply a little bit of real world to this sort of crazy whimsical world of Lethal Weapon, but yeah. Oh, what's TJC? I think it's implied that Busey's character and Riggs' character knew each other's exploits in Vietnam. At least that's how I saw it.
I think Busey picks up on the fact that he's a sharpshooter from Vietnam, which is probably how he goes, damn it, it's Riggs.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, yeah, as you said, it's already set up earlier in the film where just out of nowhere, Riggs turns around to Murtaugh and goes, "Whenever it was in whatever year it was in Vietnam,
Yeah,
I took out a guy from 1,000 yards, high wind, maybe 8 or 10 guys could make that
yeah.
shot." And
And Riggs would have been very young as well. If he's playing a 30-year-old in this film, the
it
Vietnam
would have
War
been
finished 75.
19 or 20. In fact, I looked
Yeah,
this up. I didn't write it down, but I was like, could he have been special forces? I think it worked out. He could have been he would have been 20, and he could have just been in the special forces. It is possible. He'd have had to have been absolutely exceptional, but it could. It's not completely unbelievable. But yeah, he would have been real young. Especially, I think it would have relied on him enrolling at like the youngest age. Is it 16 in the American military? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I should have probably written it down, but I wasn't sure it would come up. But yeah, no, it is plausible. He could have just been in the special forces. So I do find that interesting. But there's lots of scenes in the film. I'd already said to you, it is funny to me how, like, you know, that in all these films, and it's a trope of 80s films, they can just sort of gun down any bad guy they want, and there's no paperwork. There's never
No.
I mean, I know you were an English policeman, not American, but there must be paperwork. I can't imagine you can fart without having to fill out 20 forms on the job. Do you know what I mean? It must be crazy.
But as we know in this country, particularly if you're a firearms officer, if it's automatic that if you shoot somebody, whether you injure them or even possibly worse, you are automatically suspended anyway. Obviously, the gun culture is different in America, but in the UK, if you were to shoot somebody on duty, then you're suspended not only for your own benefit and your own safety to make sure, because you could come up against that situation again tomorrow, and so they just make sure that you're safe. But when it's reported in the papers, then it's police officer suspended after shooting someone, and it automatically makes the police sound they've done the bad thing, and they
I've
haven't.
noticed that, isn't it? Police investigator by PCC or whatever it is. They
IPCC,
yeah. I have noticed that over here, that whenever there is a shoot, you know, when the police have had to use firearms, that it very much does make it seem as though the police have, you know, done the bad thing. Because I remember reading about it. I was surprised because that's right, you get arrested, don't you? Even if it's on the job. Is that correct?
You don't get arrested, but you do have to have interviews. You have to write detailed statements, statements. Put it this way, it's going to be a long shift if you pull a gun on someone.
I mean, and we are talking from the UK point of view. Obviously, we don't know how it is in America, but I can imagine that wherever you are in the world, you can't just unload a clip on someone and just walk away with a cigarette in your mouth. It's not.
No, or just turn up at someone's house and shoot them into a swimming pool and just Which coincidentally, in that scene, they filmed that to keep the budget down at Richard Donner's house. That's Richard Donner's house.
They did. They did indeed. Yeah, man. I've got that in my little. I've got some facts down here. That's But no, why not? Why not do it to keep the budget down? Absolutely. I mean, these films. What was it we said earlier? 15 million budget. It's sort of crazy how it goes. Now, before I've got a few sections we could go off into here. I think I saved my sort of Christmas theories till towards the end. We have had a little chat previously about the buddy cop films, and so we sort of covered that. You had sort of 48 Hours in 1982, which sort of a lot of people give praise as the first big buddy cop film. I mean, doing my research, a film called Freebie and Bean in 74 and a film called Busting in 74, they're also listed as buddy cop films, but it's more what this film went on to promote. And we have sort of touched on it, but Tango and Cash in 89. I have not seen that for years, but I remember I did enjoy that film very much. Bad Boys, the Bad Boys series. I've only seen the first two. I haven't seen Bad Boys for Life, so I can't speak on the third one. Or is there a fourth one now as well?
There is a fourth one, yeah.
Okay, and the film series, that always although it's not, but for some reason it always reminds me of Lethal Weapon. It's got that feel, the Rush Hour films.
Yep.
I love the Rush Hour films, and although they're obviously different. When you watched them, did you get the feel of Lethal Weapon? Could you feel the strong influence there when you watched them?
What you've got with the Rush Hour films is, again, you've got the cross, although the crossing of cultures in the films, and that's what plays up to the comedic value. So you've got what's the chap's then? Chris, what's his name? What's the actor's name? Not Jackie Chan, the other Chris in Rush Hour.
It's Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. So you've got Chris Tucker, the fast talking guy and that sort of thing, and then you've got Jackie Chan as a fish out of water sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so the crossing of those two cultures, that's what brings the comedy to it. And so you've got, Jackie Chan effectively is the straight guy in that, and he's just trying to do his thing. So there are similarities in that respect to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think I know 48 hours. We said earlier, I know 48 hours is often sorry, excuse me, I really did hurt my tongue earlier. Is often cited as the one that kicked off, but I do think that most of these films, maybe not completely, they don't try and carbon copy, but I think the Lethal Weapon films is the sort of gold standard which influences a lot of them. Mm. Certainly having gone forward. I'm going to jump back in the comments just momentarily. Let's have a look. Oh, we've been joined by Pete the Collector. He says Turner and Hooch as a buddy cop movie. Turner and Hooch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. It's that dog. It's the spit. It's the drool when it shakes its head. And it looks like he's got like bloody slippers, like shoelaces in his mouth or whatever it is. Been a long time since I've seen that mine. Long time. What's MBT put here? Monkey Boy. Gibson's Beretta 92F is one of the most recognisable pew-pews of modern cinema. Yeah.
The rifle he uses in the desert, that was a rifle that was really rare, and it cost the budget $100,000 for that, and they welded a butt on the end of it, apparently, and they completely knackered the gun, so that when they went to return it to Heckler and Koch, I think it was, they were like, what have you done to our 100,000? And they had to buy it off of Heckler and Koch because they just ruined it and they couldn't get the butt off it. It's just.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's an expensive mistake. And I've got to bring this up. Yeah. Andy, I've seen Bad Boys. But Andy is a top man. He's met a load of people in this chat because he met up with us all at NEC. But whenever I send Andy a link for films, he often says to me, I've not seen that one. I've not seen that. I've not seen that. He hasn't seen most of the films I've done, but bless him, he always shows up anyway, but he has seen Bad Boys. So that is a film. Well, Andy, if you like Bad Boys, I don't think you can go far wrong with the Lethal Weapon series, mate.
Bad Boys plays more on the comedy aspect of it and the action as well. It depends how much Michael Bay porn you like, because Michael Bay just... I'm not a lover of Michael Bay stuff.
Well, when we did the Turtle stream very long time ago, when I first started doing this, I actually did a stream called Heyday versus Bay Day, which was the original TMNT movies versus the Michael Bay movies. I would say go back and watch it. I think the content is passable, but it sounds like it was recorded into a sock and on a potato. Huh. But we very much... Michael Bay is boom, boom, flash, bang. He doesn't really care to me about the characters so much. It's more the impressive explosions.
I used to work in a barber shop where we were movie themed, and I had the TV above my station, and I banned Transformers, any of the Transformers films, because all I was hearing when I was trying to cut hair was, and I was like, I can't have that. That's just no, not when I'm trying to have a conversation.
Is that local to us? I think I might know the one.
Gillingham.
Yeah, I know the one.
Lads and Dads in Gill.
Yep. Let me have a look here. What's Jared put? Tango and Cash hit the mark, I believe. Yeah, Tango and Cash. I mean, it's been a long time, but I remember enjoying it. The first 48 hours movie was pretty good, says Kieran. what's Pete here? But Lethal Weapon films are some of my all-time favourites. Yeah, I love them. I had all the films, as I say, recorded on my Skybox. That died the other day, as did many people's in the country through some fault. And I lost them, and I had no qualms spending all of £3.50 on Music Magpie to buy all 4 movies. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm happy to do that. No issue at all. We'd already sort of covered, we mentioned National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon earlier on, the parody of it from 1993. Samuel Jackson and Emilio Estevez. Well worth a watch. If you like the Lethal Weapon films and you haven't seen it, definitely. I remember my parents rented that for me on video for one of my birthdays when I was a kid. I remember cackling away. Because I'd seen the Lethal Weapon films. Because, Rob, you're probably the same. And Martin said it on a stream the other night, Size Villain stream. I think we're of an age where our parents really didn't give a monkeys if we raided the video cupboard, did they? Or what we watched, really?
No. Like I said, I remember watching RoboCop when I was 8, and looking back at it now, I am horrified at what I was, at that age.
Well, you see, Sorry, carry on, bud. Carry on.
No, I was going to say, I remember going to the cinema to see Ghostbusters. First film I saw at the cinema was E.T. And back then, videos were Gremlins. I saw Gremlins when I was like 5, I think it was. It was new on video.
Me too. And
you just sort of back in the 80s, that was what you did, really, and you just sort of got on with it.
Yeah, me and Martin covered Gremlins, and I didn't. I'm a little bit, not a lot. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I first saw Gremlins on VHS. I think I said on that stream I was 5 or 6. I was really young. I'd seen all the Lethal Weapon movies by the time, all the ones that were out at least, by the time I was 6 or 7. And in fact, I remember my dad renting. Well, in fact, he didn't even have to rent it. We had a friend who worked at Blockbuster Video, Marie. She's no longer with us, bless her. But she used to like let us take movies on and stuff. And I remember like it was a thing. It was like, oh, we've got Lethal Weapon 3. Like, it really excited to watch it. And I was watching this the other night, and I said to my wife, I was like, I had seen this film like my son is 10, about to turn 11, and I wouldn't let him watch this film. With sort of modern eyes on it. And I'm like, but I'd already seen this. I'd seen, as you say, RoboCop. I'd seen Terminator. I'd seen Platoon. I'd seen many films that my dad, Hellraiser, my dad had a video cupboard. Literally, he did not care. I could go in, it scared the crap out of me, to be fair. But he didn't care. I'd go in that video cupboard, go upstairs to our bedroom where we had like there was no TV area up there. You could only either play the games console or watch videos. But I'd go upstairs, draw the curtains in the room, sit there and watch these adult films, and it was nothing to me,
My son said to me the other day, he said, "Dad, I don't live with my children, but my son said to me the other day, he's 15. He said, Dad, I watched this film the other day called The Terminator. Have you seen it?" And I went, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, and so my next response was, "Watch Terminator 2. I said, "You'll enjoy that." Just, yeah. I said, "Watch Terminator 2. I said, "You'll like it just as much." And he's like, "I will. But my dad, so my parents split up when I was around about 8 or 9. And my dad was renting a room off of a woman who owned a video shop. So we used to, when we used to go and see it, I used to have a free reign in there. So that's how I saw these things. And it was like a kid in a sweet shop, literally.
Well, that's same for me. Our friend Maria, as I say, she's no longer with us, bless her. But the video shop was just around the corner from our house. I could toddle round there, and my dad taught her to drive. And like she never charged us for videos because she could have so many videos a week. Like providing she hadn't taken out all the videos, go in there, she'd let you have a film. Quite naughtily would let me walk out of there with films I probably should. Yeah, it's for dad. Okay, this was like early 90s, and it was fine, and you just wouldn't have it now. But I think what we need to do now, let's jump into some. I'm gonna talk about this. We know that there are sequels to this film. It is rumored that Mel Gibson is going to come back. Apparently, Richard Donner did say to him before he died, if he died, he'd like Mel Gibson to direct the 5th installment. And Mel Gibson has said that it's something he wants to do, and he wants to get the gang back together for one more movie.
Covered in blue paint,
paint.
and talking in Palestinian or whatever it was they talk in the last Passion of the Christ or whatever it is. Is that how he's going to portray?
I have no idea what he's going to do, but I mean, so how would you feel about them continuing the series at this point? We know we've got 2, 3, and 4, and I know we're speaking on, but do you think that this series should be left where it is with the 4 installments we've got?
Yeah, I think personally, I would have left it at 2. That's me personally. I think. Can I say this? Can I say this now? But 2 is my favourite of the 4 that are there that they've made so far.
You can say that.
The way that the characters are developed and the way that the comedy is sort of engineered, and also the topic of the time, it's so timely. And it is just, I can watch it. I watch it over and over again, and I still find it hilarious, some of the things they do in that film. But I think what they would have to do, and I don't really want them to do this like they did with the TV show, is they would probably look at recasting. Because, I mean, Joe Pesci's older now as well, isn't he? You know,
hasn't he all but retired, though?
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Gervais says he looks like Grogu. He looks like Baby Yoda these days.
Yeah.
So that shows you where he's going with his aging. But, you know, Danny Glover's no spring chicken these days as well. You know, he looks however old he is now, 78, I think he is now.
Mm. Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think they should, you know, and it 4 ended without spoiling it for Joe. 4 ended as it should do, you know.
Cheesiest line ever. No, we're family.
Yeah. And you're just like, yeah.
But you touched on something there which I wanted to bring up. This, I've probably seen the first season, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't like the TV show. So what I just brought up there in case anyone's just listening was the Lethal Weapon TV series, which interestingly Jojo had only seen that and not the films before this. And I sort of said to her, "What, man? No, you've got to watch the films. The Lethal Weapon TV series for me." And I'm going to bring this back up to illustrate a point. They killed Riggs off in it because the guy who played Riggs said something, and in his personal life on Twitter, whatever he did, you know what happens in Hollywood? You send a tweet or something, you're fired the next day. And then they brought in Sean William Scott as a different character. This TV series to me, if you took the name Lethal Weapon away from it and named them different names, it could have been its own series. That they just used the name Lethal Weapon to pull eyes to it. This not it doesn't even resemble Lethal Weapon to me, not at all.
Have you seen any of the second series with Sean William Scott in it? Does he play him like Stifler from the American Pie films?
To be honest with you, Matt, I checked out before that happened.
I haven't seen a single second of that TV show. It's not something that would appeal to me at all.
There's nothing wrong. If anyone here enjoyed them, that's absolutely fine. You like what you like. I mean, Jojo here saying the TV series was okay if you've never watched the films, which was the position Joe was in. Cy there saying never knew they made a TV series. No, they absolutely did, Cy, and it wasn't fantastic. Pete there saying
it wasn't that long ago either.
Perfectly. No, it wasn't. I've got it in my notes. Let me have a look.
Was it 21? I want to say it's like COVID, around COVID
2016 to 2019.
Okay, longer than I thought it was, yeah.
So, but yeah, I would agree. I mean, I enjoy Lethal Weapon 3, so I'm happy with that. I've enjoyed them all, but if you said to me you can only pick 2, it's going to be 1 and 2. And to be honest with you, I've probably seen 2 more than I've seen 1.
Yeah.
I really like number 2.
Number 2 is good.
But it's how it goes. Let me have a look. What was the last thing? We've got to get into this. So I'm going to make my case now for why I feel this is a Christmas movie, even though, like Die Hard, which people say was a Christmas movie, even though Bruce Willis said it's not, but, you know, whatever. I'm just going to list a few things, right? I know it wasn't released in December, but yeah, it's set at Christmas. It opens with Jingle Bells Rock by Bobby Helms. There's a Christmas tree lot drug bust. There's a Bugs Bunny Christmas cartoon on Riggs TV. There is a lady of the night wishing them Merry Christmas. Well, the bit at the car before, all dressed up, no one to blow. There's Christmas lights on Roger's house. Scrooge on the TV when Mr. Joshua walks in. What day is it? Goddamn Christmas.
Christmas.
And, yeah. Murtaugh inviting Riggs in to eat Christmas turkey because he doesn't want to suffer it on his own. There's the joke that his wife can't cook. Yep. Elvis, I'll be home for Christmas at the start of the credits before the Lethal Weapon song. And there are more. This is the hill I am prepared to die on. I think this is a Christmas movie. Chat, give your opinions. Rob, what's your view? I think you've already said that.
Absolutely, no, it's a Christmas film all day long. But the thing is, though, it's not one of those ones I would automatically reach for at Christmas. I mean, when it comes to Die Hard, I don't know if it's a sequels thing, but I saw Die Hard 2 before I saw Die Hard 1. And that, for me, personally, is my favourite Die Hard 2, which I know, heresy and all that sort of thing. I'm happy to sort of admit that. But I think...
You like what you like, man. You like what you like.
But I think Christmas-wise, it's not something I would naturally go towards Christmas. And we're watching it in June. So, it doesn't feel... Although it's set at Christmas, it doesn't feel Christmassy. It's not like when you put on, like, Home Alone or Elf or something like that. It's not one of the automatic ones you reach for.
But tell me, do you think Die Hard feels overly Christmassy? Because I don't think it feels...
It doesn't have a Christmas element running through it. Because it's set at Christmas Eve, but there aren't as many references to Christmas as and obviously it's based in, although it's in LA, the Japanese don't celebrate Christmas anyway. So if it's a Japanese company, Nakatomi Corporation, that sort of thing,
Plaza,
yeah, they're not going to have Christmassy stuff. They're only going to have a limited amount because it's in America and stuff. So yeah.
Even ITV this year, the last Christmas gone, I recorded them all on my Skybox that tried to blow itself up, literally tried to burn itself out. Played the Die Hard movies, and it also played the Lethal Weapon movies.
Okay,
so
maybe as consciousness goes on, people are starting to accept it a bit more as a Christmas film.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, like when Bruce Willis said Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. They're films set at Christmas. They're not Miracle on 34th Street. They're not, they're not the Santa Claus, but they are set at Christmas. That's the thing. But I probably feel I say they're a Christmas movie because to me they've become part of my Christmas watching. Like, so here you go. For me at Christmas, every Christmas Eve, I have to look it up every time. I've got it saved on my phone. I will watch The Empire Strikes Back at a particular time because I went back through TV listings from years ago and I found when it was I would have first watched The Empire Strikes Back on ITV, and I try now to watch it around that time on Christmas Eve each year if I can. It's like this little weird Christmas tradition I've made. So you can make any film a Christmas film for yourself,
Sad as it sounds, I alternate between Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2 Christmas Eve every year. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it was JoJo last Christmas or the Christmas before. I think she was watching Die Hard for the first time, maybe. Oh. And I said, "Where are you at on it?" And because Carla had gone to bed, so I found where it was, and I jumped to the same point, and we were sort of chatting on WhatsApp through it, on just to keep up with it. It's you make your own traditions, don't you? But
having said that, having discussed it like that, then Iron Man 3. Would you put Iron Man 3 on at Christmas and think, "Oh, Christmas film"?
No, but would our kids?
No, I don't think they would.
No, it's probably. I'm arguing it's a Christmas film. I've made it a Christmas film for myself, haven't I? It's set at Christmas. I think you can make any film a Christmas film if you have a connection to that film.
Oh, of course, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, in fairness,
sorry,
I was listening to Absolute Radio the other day, and they were talking about the film White Chicks. One of them had just watched it or whatever, and they were having a great laugh about it. And a lady texted into the show saying that it's a Christmas movie. They watch it every Christmas Eve. It's become a tradition in their family. So if there's some connection or draw to it, then it's what it will be. But I'm just going to say, for me, it is a Christmas movie. And before we wrap this up, because we've pretty much got to the end, unless there's anything else you want to discuss, Rob, I'm going to just jump into this chat. Joe says, how could it not be a Christmas film when it opens with a Christmas song? What else have we got?
It automatically puts you in that mindset, doesn't it? Right, Christmas song straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Kieran Ball, the Christmas theme was in the book that Die Hard is based on. Okie dokie,
Right.
so it's talking Die Hard. Monkey Boy says Gremlins and Scrooge are my favourite Xmas movies. Joe, Gremlins is excellent. And also that she always watches Superman at Christmas. So there you go. It's what you make of it. So, Rob, before we close this out and we do all the thank yous and where people can find you if you want them to find you, anything else you want to touch on, mate?
No, I mean it's very much I think if you go back through it and look at it with a critical eye, you're going to find some issues with it. But as entertainment, stands up as good as the day it was made, in my opinion. You know, there's stuff there for everyone, like literally. You know, yeah, social commentary, Christmas themes, and all that sort of stuff. So it's a very well put together film.
Yeah, and I think if anyone here watching this stream hasn't watched Lethal Weapon for a while, go and watch it. And I reckon if you've got access to the sequels, you'll probably do them all in quite quick succession, because you get hooked on those characters, and it's a character piece. It's not all boom. It's that's the magic of Richard Donner there for me. So,
and as the films progress, I know we keep saying this, but as the films progress, their characters progress as well, to the bit where it gets a bit schmaltzy right at the end of 4, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that goes back into why I don't feel I need a fifth part to the film. I think just seeing these people old, and let's just remember it as it was and enjoy. You know, every story has to come to an end eventually, but it's just how long. Chat, you've been absolutely bloody amazing tonight. So I'm going to say a massive thank you to you. Sorry we can't always get to all the comments, but we do always see them all. Rob, I know you don't have a YouTube channel or anything, but is there anything you've got coming up you want to discuss? Anything you're doing? Any projects you're excited to do? Or
no, there's nothing. I mean, I'm coming on this because podcasting and that sort of thing is something, as you know, I wanted to sort of start and get into through work and stuff like that. Then I've thought about certain avenues that I can go down with podcasting. But no, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself this evening, and thank you.
I think you've been an excellent guest, mate. I think you've been absolutely excellent, and thank you for coming on. Anyone's still here, if you haven't liked, if you could like the stream, if you enjoyed it, that is. And if for some reason you're not subscribed and you'd like to subscribe, please do that. I will be back in a couple of weeks with Shabby. We're going to be having a look at the bit of a chat about Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, sort of a follow-on from Pee Wee's Big Adventure, after watching the documentary that was recently released about his life. That's a slightly different real impact, but something that we're both keen to discuss. Again, you've all been excellent. Rob, you've been excellent. So at this point,
can I just say one more thing, Nick?
Of course you can.
I'm too old for this shit.
And I think that's a great time to give it the awkward wave and end. So guys, we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.